Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a very special Laundry Day edition of the Falling Apart video series. For those of you who are wondering, my shirt says, "I'm super. Thanks for asking." And yeah, I did do that while I was under the influence. So let's talk about that, because not everything about my substance use was 100% terrible. As we're going to explore today in part 6. We did part 7 last week, and if you watch that video, you'll know why we went a little bit out of order. And we're going to talk about the song Goin' Nowhere. So I had my first drink at 16, and from 16 to 17, it was very tame and very rare. The first time that I got really intoxicated, I was 17 and I was at a party and I was offered marijuana and I accepted that, and I took this, a group of people went outside and stood in a circle and a joint got passed around and it came to me and I had no idea what I was doing, and I sucked on that joint like I was in an airplane and the oxygen mask had just dropped in front of me. So I was out of it after that. That was it for me. It was just a lot of coughing, and I was high after that. And at that point in time, there was this awesome exodus of all of the self-doubt and the fear and the existential dread that had become the signature of my existence for years and years and years. And I remember a very powerful sense of, this is who I was put on this earth to be. This person who is not consumed by these negative thoughts and emotions. And I very promptly made a fool of myself. I very promptly said unsavory things to people. And but the damage had been done, and I had found what I was looking for. It again didn't take off right away, but later that year when I went away to college, I was getting high every day. And the thing about that was, and the thing that this song sort of illustrates, is this dichotomy between, right, so the problem that I'm having is that I'm not living my life the way I want to be living my life. And it's very anxiety producing, it's very depressing, and I'm suicidal. And under those conditions, I'm not prepared to meet the challenges of the day. So what do is I become intoxicated, and those feelings of fear and self-doubt and existential dread are expelled from my being, and I feel at peace and I feel comfortable, but I'm also useless. I'm still just as far away from being the person that I'm trying to be. I just don't feel so terrible about it. And that's kind of what gets illustrated in this song Goin' Nowhere. I wrote it in July of 2010. No, I'm sorry, July of 2008, which is, the summer that we're in at this point in the story. Last week's entry, Your Last Chance, was a few weeks later in August of that summer. And what had happened was, I was working as a trash man in my town, and it's a very satisfying job in a couple of respects, and it's very dissatisfying in many other respects. It's physically demanding, it's exhausting, it's filthy and smelly and disgusting, but it's providing a really invaluable public service. And at the end of that day, having gone through that manual labor, which is so good for the soul, and coming home through streets that are clean because of the work that you did, there's a real sense of peace and accomplishment that comes from that. The thing is, it never stops. There's never not another you know, 20 tons of trash to pick up the next day. And you start at the same place and you end at the same place. And all of that work is just, there's a way of looking at it where it's just like it's for nothing. It's Sisyphus rolling the boulder up the hill. And I had gone up to Manhattan to visit a friend of mine who was enrolled in college and taking classes in the summer up there. And I was looking for a pipe to buy so that I could smoke marijuana. And we decided in the middle of July, in the middle of this heinous heat wave, we were going to walk about 4 miles from uptown to downtown. And we started on this walk. We made it, I don't know, quarter of a mile, half a mile, and we were like, fuck this, get on the subway. And we took the subway downtown, and we got into this shop, and there were all these pieces there, and they had 4 that were shaped and painted and crafted to resemble the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So I got the one that was painted purple to resemble Donatello, the superior Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. And, it was $100, and I was like, fuck me, that's a lot to spend on a device to smoke marijuana out of. And, it's a lot of money for me to spend on any individual purchase ever, from the time I was 20 years old back then to now I'm 32. If I'm dropping $100, I think about it first. And what I thought in that shop that day was, this is either the story of the day that I didn't buy the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle bowl, or it is the story of the day that I bought the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle bowl. And I bought it knowing full well that it was going to break. And probably about a little more than a year later, some friends of mine and I were using it, and a couple of friends were passing it between each other, and they dropped it, and it shattered, and they were like, oh my god. And I was like, I knew that was going to happen. It was one of the only times that something like that happened where I was chill about it, because I knew in advance it was going to happen, and I knew in advance that it was either the story of the day that I got Donatello or the story of the day that I saw Donatello and didn't get Donatello. So we went back to my friend's room, his dorm room, and we got high and we wrote music. And this is one of only 2 songs out of the hundreds to possibly 1,000 or so that I attempted while I was under the influence that is actually worth anything. Part of the reason for that is I ripped off the chord progression. $10 to the person who can tell me what song I ripped off to write this one. $20 if you let that artist know about it and we end up in court over it, because that would be so cool. So I'll play the song, and then we'll talk a little bit more about what I meant by that dichotomy of ideas. And here it is, Going Nowhere. These blocks are long, going across town. It keeps me strong. All this moving around, but I'm going nowhere. I'm going nowhere, it seems. This town gets hot in the summertime. I give it all I've got. 'cause it gives me peace of mind. But I'm going nowhere. I'm going nowhere, it seems. Who's to say where it comes from? Who's to say where it goes? Who's to say we have a purpose? Who's to say anyone knows? 'Cause we're going nowhere. We're going nowhere, it seems. We've got too many vices to be considered good. But my advice is let things happen as they should. 'Cause we're going nowhere. We're going nowhere, it seems. And who's to say where it comes from? Who's to say where it goes? And who's to say we have a purpose? Who's to say anyone knows? 'Cause we're going nowhere. We're going nowhere, it seems. Yeah, we're going nowhere. We're going nowhere, it seems. So you can hear in those lyrics, this, well, you can call it a dichotomy or a juxtaposition, or, what it really is this discrepancy, right? This discrepancy between and I think it really gets summed up in that third and final verse is, we've got too many vices to be considered good. But my advice is let things happen as they should. And what that is predicated upon is putting in the effort, there's sort of a conventional recovery wisdom is, we are responsible for the effort, God is responsible for the results. And however you conceive of God, or whether or not you believe there is a God, the fact of the matter is that what we can control is our effort. What happens after that is out of our hands, whether it is in the hands of a God or the universe or random chance. It's up to us to put in the effort and then find a way to make peace with what happens next. And I could never get myself to put in that effort. Being under the influence, getting drunk, getting high, allowed me to, connect with that internal wisdom, with that, that part of me that is also part of everything else. But it was the same thing that was preventing me from acting on any of that, and spending my sober time, trying to widen and deepen my understanding of these things without being able to see past the despair of the gaping chasm between where I am and where I want my life to be. And yeah, getting high and getting drunk mitigated that despair, but it didn't bring the gap any closer together. What brought the gap closer together for me is doing the footwork, putting in the 10,000 hours. Everybody wants to be a virtuoso. Nobody wants to put in the 10,000 hours, and I get that. But what I had to do was look at my life and look at the results and see how that was connected to the choices I was making. And the thing that I'm so gratified by today is the fact that this is who I was put on this earth to be. This is the reason that I'm here. And I couldn't do it and I couldn't be it without the substances, or with the substances, but I couldn't have understood it without the substances. I needed that. I needed that despair, and I needed that escape from that despair to gain the clarity that I now have. So I wouldn't change the script if I had the ability to. And I just want to thank you all for being here with me and being a part of this. Thanks for checking out the album. Thanks for listening. And for those of you who haven't, it is anywhere you want it to be. Spotify, Google Play, Amazon, iTunes, Deezer, iHeartRadio. It's on TikTok, which I don't, whatever. And it's on a bunch of other things that I've never heard of. So, get out there, enjoy it, and I hope this deepens your appreciation for not only the album and the music and the songs on the album, but also your own life and your own understanding of how things are going for you and why. And remember, I'm always here. If anybody wants to talk about how these ideas or concepts can be applied to whatever it is that you're going through, whatever trouble you may find yourself in, I would love to talk to you about that. So again, thanks for being here, and I hope you will all come back next week where, if my memory is serving me, we'll be talking about why worry, which is a really powerfully moving piece and a very interesting story to that one as well. So thanks again for being with me. God bless you. Stay safe out there. Take care.